Okay, here we go. Welcome to the fastest hour in hockey on the real Kyper and Bourne abbreviated version of our show. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, Jake Schultz. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Steve Valiquette for our Tuesday edition of his tremendous work on our show.
Yeah.
So we'll pack a lot into that, including news of starting goalies trickling in.
Starting goalies, lines. You got Sweden's lines are out. We got some stuff to talk about. It's happening, boys.
So
It's really exciting. I really can't wait.
a lot
I know.
of pictures on the internet of team pictures and colors. And yeah, you're starting to kind of feel all right, let's drop the puck and let's see what this thing's going to look like.
Yeah. It's crazy. Like, how much of a influence can a coach even have? It starts right away. It's a game 7 right away. Like Cooper said in one of his quotes we played yesterday, if you lose game 1, you're in deep. It's like the stakes are high immediately. So I'm very excited.
Well, it's not only that, as we've seen in other tournaments, especially most recently the World Juniors, where it's a feeling out process. By chance, Canada could lose a game in the World Juniors. There's round robin where you play
Like to
crappy
Latvia or
team.
something?
You got a freebie the next game to kind of warm up a little bit too if you happen to blow one early. But this is like blow one early for Team Canada and you go 0-2 Saturday night because you're facing the U.S. Like
you're playing a meaningless third game.
You're cooked.
God, what a nightmare that would be.
Hey, at 1 o'clock, by the way.
On Monday, on Family Day Monday. Yeah.
On Family Day Monday.
Oh, yeah.
A meaningless game at 1 p.m.
Well,
No,
here's to
don't
hoping it has meaning.
Can't let that happen.
No, it won't happen. Can't happen.
Sammy will call a summit for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think this is going to look? Like,
Great question.
Because that's the most fascinating thing for me, because it's just, we have to sharpen our best on best knives again. We have to sort of feel getting back into this because it's been so long since we've had it. Like, do you think there is a chance, and I'm playing devil's advocate here because I don't necessarily believe this, but there's all-star game energy? Because I've heard that take from multiple people.
Dan Tavares and I were just yelling at each other.
Yeah,
We're
we all
talking
yelled about it. But like, he's not the only one that said
What
that
up,
to
DT?
me.
Yeah. So I don't.
Kipper's concerned about it. He's
No.
mentioned it before.
I think there's too much pressure on these guys to perform early, to have this feeling out process. I do. I think, and listen, I mean, I kind of joked around with you yesterday on our Leaf Hour that, you're telling me that if Marner looks bad on this, that you're trading him.
Wow.
but-
I would have traded him already before.
But
Or
don't
that.
think that Marner doesn't feel it. Don't think like it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I'm playing with McDavid now and Sam Reinhart, who's been one of the top goal scorers the last few years. Like, this guy's going to be ready to shoot out of a cannon.
Yeah. But I also think the Olympics as the backdrop to this is very relevant. Like, it's 1 year from now,
Yeah.
the Olympics. So it's like, if you want to be on that team Canada, like Drew Doughty did a lot for his stock by rushing to be a part of this as someone who wants to. And Alex Pietrangelo, who is playing in the NHL but chose not to come to this, that hurts his stock. Make no mistake about it. So there are stakes a lot. Some of these guys are absolute locks, of course, but not all of them. And so there is motivation for the guys beyond the main guys to work hard. And for the main guys, they're competitive freaks. Nathan McKinnon is a psychopath. And that's what we love about him. So I expect, I think once you drop the puck on that game, it's intense, man.
Gotta
All right.
say, too, trophy's excellent.
It's
It's a
good looking
great trophy,
looking.
which
I just-
means a lot.
Know that you could drink out of it.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is the most important thing.
That's cool.
They'll have one day on the Friday, and they're like flying home. I'm sure that
Game 54
I'm
coming
sure
up.
they'll be really just firing it up.
All right, let's get to our first guest here. Steve Valiquette, analyst for the New York Rangers on MSG, CEO of ClearSight Analytics. He's going to let us know exactly, You got
Good
your
coat.
jacket on. Are you going to walk to Montreal for puck drop by tomorrow night?
I'm still cold. I was just cross-country skiing. It's freezing here right now.
I love your luck.
It's a good look. It's a good
I
look.
was wearing my Canada Goose jacket for good luck, but I wasn't going to wear that out on here as well.
Well, right out of the gate, we gotta get your thoughts on Team Canada. Of course, that's our focus here on our show, and Jordan Binnington being named, and it's not a pretty record that he's got this year in St. Louis. But do you think all along this was their guy to at least get out of the gate?
It's a good one, Kipper. The funny thing is, right now, nobody's playing that well that's playing in this tournament, and I mean any goalie. One thing that I'd like to talk to you guys about, we haven't discussed this in the past. It's adjusted save percentage. Now, adjusted save percentage is different than expected goals. It works better over small sample sizes, like 1 month that we've had, month and a half now, basically since January 1st. And what you do with expected goals is you're looking at basically against averages during the league of how many goals a goalie allows versus how many he should have. And with a big sample size, you can get bigger numbers that make sense. Smaller sample size, adjusted save percentage to me makes more sense. And the way you get to a number is by looking at all of the shots on goal and then removing the noise. So the noise to me is a dump from the neutral zone that has no chance of going in. A forechecking shot, like Carolina takes a lot of those where they get over the blue line and they just shoot it on the goalie's blocker to just retrieve it in the corner. Pucks that are rolling off of a shooter's stick, sometimes it just misfires and it rolls to the goalie. Ones the NHL doesn't really notice, didn't make the net, but they count it as if it hit the net. It hits a shin pad or a skate. And when you take all of these shots and then you take them out of the data, you're looking at really just scoring opportunities. And since January 1st, not one of the goalies that's going to compete at the Four Nations is in the top 10. So you can go to any guy. I've got everybody right here. Binnington is 28th in the NHL since January 1st. So he's not playing his best.
Cool.
But one thing I'll say about Binnington, he has been, over the last 5 years, one of the best rush save percentage goalies in the league. He's always been good off the rush. He likes to play in big games. I think that he enjoys a game that's tighter. And when we have Jordan Binnington in a net where it matters, I think you're going to be okay. And the same goes for Adin Hill. Adin Hill is very good in tight games. He was great in the playoffs last year. He was great winning 2 years ago. He's really good in traffic. He's great as far as looking over net front. So depending on the way I was looking at it, depending on whether you have a goalie that's really strong off the rush, Binnington, or a goalie that's really strong in traffic, depending on the opponent, you might want to go with Hill. I think the bad side of the conversation is that everybody not named to Team Canada is in the top 10. Logan Thompson, number 2. Kemper, number 1. We had one other one, wherever my list is. But anyhow, we have everybody that's ranking in the top 10 that shouldn't really, should maybe possibly be on the roster that isn't. So, but all things considered equal, every team is kind of got a goalie coming in that isn't running hot right now.
Yeah. Is the other one Blackwood Valley? The other Canadian?
It is Blackwood.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yep.
So what are the challenges for a goaltender playing behind unfamiliar D? He would not have had any experience behind any of these guys but Parayko, let alone whatever team system they may be running. What would be the complicating factors for a goalie there?
Well, I think the first thing that you have to get through is what communication are you going to use when you play the puck, right? And typically we have 4 that we use. One would be play it. And I would say to a defenseman and to a goalie, if I'm just starting to coach them, use play it, because it lets the goalie know that you've got people on him, on yourself, and you can't really get open for a pass. So just make a decision. And usually that's strong side on the glass. Reverse it is always backhand side to the corner. Now that happens on both sides. If you receive a dump on your left side, your backhand side is still to the left corner. And if it comes in on the left side, your backhand side's still to the left corner. So reverse it works both ways. If you're calling the goalie by name, it's a direct pass. And then leave it is just leave it and wheel the net. So play it, leave it, reverse, or call me by name. Once you get through that, the next thing is really you're talking about how do you want to approach net front? Do you want me fronting pucks if they're coming in as drifters, sifters? I would say yes. Box out if it's a hard, low shot. Outside of that, you're talking about odd man rushes. One area for Aiden Hill, the reason why his save percentage has dropped here in the last month is Vegas has been very indecisive on how they're playing their odd man rushes. Certain things that you can look for as a goalie, which are universal, is if your player, especially in a tournament like this with a lot of skill, if your defenseman is jumping in the circle, be ready for a pass. If he's playing passive in the middle, be ready for a shot. So, hockey's hockey, but there will be certainly some terms discussed on odd mans, playing the puck and boxing out.
So when we look at the USA, and we probably would think from a skater's perspective, we'll give the advantage to Canada. But in net, it's much different now. So what does the data say about Connor Hellebuyck being with the USA team compared to the three goalies that Canada has from a data perspective, and then also just from a psyche perspective, maybe even more dangerous?
Well, I heard your conversation about Marner, and I get it, right? Because if you can't prove that you can win with the best, like, what are we doing here? And I think this applies to Hellebuyck. I think there's a lot of pressure on him. And the one thing I think about sports often, guys, is that that's the toughest thing in sports is playing up to expectations. And I think we just experienced it on Sunday in the Super Bowl. And did you ever see a team land flatter on their face than Kansas City?
No.
Right. They didn't make a play. But was it the weight of expectations? We've never seen a team win 3 years in a row, and I think that got into their psyche a little bit, and they just didn't know how to react to it. Hellebuyck, his save percentage, the last two playoffs is adjusted again, back to the adjusted numbers, 854, which was last year. And then 2 years ago, 872 adjusted. So again, right at the bottom. And this year so far, he's been very good, certainly a Vezina candidate, and for some stretch, maybe even Hart. But I think it's more team play. He plays in the easiest environment in the NHL.
Really?
He has the fewest chances faced that are time and space. So when I'm watching Igor Shesterkin and he's running all over the ice and there's wide open guys in the back door, Hellebuyck just doesn't have to deal with that at the same rate or even close. He has the easiest environment in the league. Now, Hellebuyck, since January 1st, adjusted save percentage, he's 25th in the NHL. Not playing well. Now, it's, part of me, of course, I'm going to say, well, does it really matter do you have to be playing at your best to be your best? No, because for these guys at their level, they are pros and they know that one save can set them off. Mm-hmm. So one thing I would advise my team to do, if you're playing against Hellebuyck and you think he's a little dicey, just keep it away from his glove. Don't give him a reason to turn on. And I find that a lot of swings in games, just from watching hockey every night, if I'm seeing a guy that's not really feeling it, one big glove save can turn it. And imagine if that glove save's in Boston and the crowd is U.S. Bound glory, and you could just turn things. So I think that Hellebuyck, there's going to be a lot to be learned about him. And if it doesn't go well for him in this tournament, it could hurt Winnipeg when he comes back.
I think if I was a coach, I would be adamant that insist that your first shot of the game not be wasted from distance. You just can't warm goalies up and get them feeling good, Valley.
Low block or keep it in play.
Yeah, I like that. So Canada's going to open up against Sweden. Sweden's strength is pretty darn clear when you look at their roster. They've got Rasmus Andersson, Matthias Ekholm, Dahlin, Forsling, Hedman, Carlson. So really good D, and then Gustafsson and Ullmark in net. Can Sweden's D be enough to shut down this high-flying Canadian offense?
Well, look, I love Gustafsson, have for a long time. I think he's a gamer, and I think that he can be a difference maker in the tournament. He also is not running hot right now, 23rd in adjusted save percentage. But he can get hot. He's capable of it. I think he's a really good goalie. And, for all of the goalies to be outside, for all of the very good goalies to be outside of the top 10 coming into the tournament, I do wonder how much they're thinking about preparation for the tournament and looking past their own games for the last month. Like it's a bit of a thing, and I wonder if that's just the case for him as well. Allmark, um, you look at his save percentage in the last 4 playoffs, guys: 800, 860, 896, 886. I just don't know if you can trust him. And coming off of his injury and everything like that, it's almost like that buddy that you depend on to show up for dinner, and he doesn't. You end up eating alone.
Valley, it might have been maybe a month ago. We had already had conversations about Matthews not going, right? And then we watched this Quinn Hughes thing play out. Willie Woney, he makes the decision not to mess with it. And then the last guy I would think that we'd see not playing, hurt, and then just getting 2 quick games in and then playing this in this thing is a goalie. I mean, it's mind-boggling that he could be off that long, squeeze a couple of quick ones in, and then declare himself totally fit to play in this thing. I mean, you tell me, what kind of challenges Allmark will have being off that long, getting a couple of quick games in, and then potentially being this guy that has to stop Canada and the U.S.?
Look, my own personal opinion, I just remember stories coming out of Buffalo with him that were just wild. And then heard stories coming out of Boston that were just wild. And I remember being on with you guys in October and just saying, Ottawa better have a strong room for this guy, because it took the Bruins 3 months to really get him under control. And you know what? For that position as a goalie, to be flaky, it doesn't sit well. It doesn't sit well when you're not healthy or when you're not consistent. And if Allmark happens to get hurt and comes back for an Ottawa team that deserves to be in the postseason, they deserve it. They have a solid team, very solid team. We were talking in October that possibly Ottawa would overtake Boston. Looks like Ottawa is taking a spot maybe the Rangers could have right now. But regardless, you can't justify it, Kyper, if the risk isn't worth the reward. And I don't know how you do that to Ottawa if you're him, if you're going into a tournament where you're maybe not ready to do it.
I'm with you. Like if there's a chance here that he re-aggravates or re-injures and cannot start the season in a week and a half or 2 weeks, I don't think he'll ever recover off of that in Ottawa.
No, I told you he was going to drive Travis Green nuts, and he probably already has,
Hope that Mirilainen's good. You like Mirilainen? Is he good?
Not that good.
All right.
No, not that good.
Fair enough.
So he's a leaf eater, but I don't know about his nuts.
Yeah. Hey, Valley, do you believe the whole there's horses for courses thing? Goaltenders would be better in certain environment situations, like this type of tournament. I'm trying to think of I'm basically leaning on the Canadian factor that you think that Binnington as a rush goalie, this may actually suit him a little bit more. You do think that there are types of play that suit certain goalies more.
Yeah, like when I look at the U.S. team, I think they're going to play more off the rush. Mm-hmm. I think they will play off the rush more than I think that Finland will. Yeah. And I think that Finland's going to play low, and they're going to make use of their points, and there's going to be net front. And I wonder if they are game planning a little different for the opponent. And yes, I do think there are horses for courses, because, part of the information that I look at that I have to lean on is net front, odd man rushes, dots down offense, east to west offense in zone. And I like to look at what goalies are doing that best, what teams defend against that best, and how is that going to help a team understand what their needs are so they can win consistently.
And so for Saros, is he going to be okay in an environment where he gets 50 shots a game?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Like that's Saros, and he's one of my favorite goalies in the league. And I think that he's the guy that is capable of, crushing your dreams, because he can get hot in a game. So whoever is capable of these are talented goalies. These are high-level, talented goalies that can steal. And if somebody gets hot early because the wrong array of shots is maybe taken, a few to the glove, and somebody just feels it and the crowd's behind them, it's going to be exciting, guys. Yeah. But to say that there's predictive in this, and to say that you can say for certain something's going to happen, the only thing you can lean on is how have these players performed under pressure with expectations before, and what challenges do they have that are a little extra. And I'm thinking about Allmark. I'm thinking about Hellebuyck. they just haven't had it when they've needed it.
Right.
And now there starts to become a narrative about those guys. Great goalies, Vezina Trophy caliber goalies, but now I wonder how you carry that back into your. I'm telling you, if Hellebuyck gets smoked, how is he going to carry that back to Winnipeg with him?
You're watching and listening to Steve Valiquette, and if you just happen to be listening, he's wearing a very loud yellow jacket.
I think it's very nice.
And hopefully warmed up because you're cooking on this segment so far for us. Okay, we've had various conversations about players that may be on the block for trade here. I got to pick your brain on Dylan Cousins, of course, seems to be at the top of the list. We've heard the rumors to Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto. I had brought it up as a possible destination to maybe come in and challenge a John Tavares here in Toronto, and then others will tell me, no, he's a point-a-game guy. He doesn't need to be replaced. And just where the data and the analytics tell us the difference between a potential guy that can legitimately hold a top 6 spot or a guy that is maybe a bottom 6 guy in terms of, we hear Scott Lawton's name, we hear Yannick Gord's name, and in your opinion, where is that cut line between spending a little bit more on maybe something that you think you're going to get that's better or more productive when it may or may not be the case?
Yeah, look, Kyper, one playoff win in 8 years, right? And when I start there, I start there with this tone. Do you have a number 1 D? Have you had 2 centers? And have you had a starting goalie? And you guys cover this team as close as
we're
anybody.
talking Toronto.
We're talking Toronto.
Okay.
All right. So if you're talking, what does Toronto need right now? Well, they don't need a starting goalie. Top 2 goalies right now in adjusted save percentage in the league. And the top 2 most consistent goalies in the league are the guys in your net. So you're all set in net. So move up to the center conversation. And look, I'm looking at this today, and I think this is interesting because when you look at total contribution, I'm looking at scoring chances from centermen in the NHL. So primary scoring chances, primary passes that lead to scoring opportunities, and secondary passes. And you're looking at a total contribution offensively. So we're just going to speak offense for right now. We're not even talking about what these guys are on the ice for against. But offensively, John Tavares, he is 43rd in the NHL. Not in the top 10. He's turning 35, I believe, this year. And he is sandwiched between names like Jamie Benn, Dylan Strome, Oliver Bjorkstrand, other players in the league, not all centers, but other players in the league with offensive output. So not huge names, but that's where he is offensively right now. Now, if I'm looking at the last 3 Stanley Cup winners and I'm looking at what they're on for, so how much offense are you on for at 5-on-5 and how much offense are you on for against at 5-on-5? So it's really a scoring chance plus minus, for lack of a better term. And 3 years ago, when Colorado wins, their top 2 centers are a plus 32. Last year, when Florida wins, they really use 3, but their top 2 guys are plus 21. But with all 3, Barkov, Bennett, Lundell, they're a plus 35. 2 years ago with Vegas, Eichel's a plus 16. Plus 26 between their top 2 centers. When you go to Toronto right now, Matthews is a plus 9, Tavares is a plus 2 for a plus 11. They're not in the same neighborhood as where the Stanley Cup champion centermen have been as duos, or as in Florida's case, they kind of worked 3 a little bit more. But I also was looking at just your regular plus minus, the one that we look at every day on the back of the hockey card. Barkov last year, plus 33. Lundell, plus 19. Bennett, plus 17. Right now, Tavares, plus 5. Matthews, plus 1. I think they need some help there. So looking at help, well, what do you need? I think you need primary assists and playmaking ability from the center position. I don't know if you guys have talked much about Sean Monahan yet, He's injured right now, but he's somebody that fits, at least analytically. Dylan Cousins is not at the level of John Tavares, but Kadri is over him, and so is Braden Shen. So Shen, Kadri, Monahan would be, for me, yeses, as you're kind of making John a 2B, not a 2A, but John could be a 2A with a 2B, somebody to share the load a little bit. And that's the way I see things shaking out. Right now in primary assists at 5-on-5, Tavares is 6th on the team. It's Marner, Nylander, Domi, Nyes, Riley Morgan, and then John Tavares. And I think maybe just having a little more girth through the middle would help. And I think that you're looking at playmaking ability, certainly scoring and game-breaking ability, because I watched the series closely last year and every year before that, and it's the same story. It's been bad goals against, untimely bad goals against, and it's been not enough scoring.
All right, buddy. Want to follow up or anything?
No, sir. Nope. Thanks for your time, Valley.
How's like New Yorkers excited about Four Nations, or is it we still got a lot of work to do to get the word out?
I think everybody's away on vacation, Kyper. You know, nobody's really talking about it, though. It's around my workplace, but I can't say that I've caught like a huge wave of interest from it. But yeah, I'm going to say politely no.
Well, like I said, it could all change after one exciting game that could lead up to a nice Canada-U.S. Saturday night. Valley, always a pleasure, pal.
All right, you guys. Have a good one, man. Have a great break, fellas.
You too, Valley. Thanks a lot, man.
We're not.
Steve Valiquette.
He said, I hope you're off. We're not.
Yeah.
We're off. We're an hour a day. We're off, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now
we'll
I'm
have
back
plenty.
working.
We'll have plenty to discuss as early as Thursday.
Yeah, I guess we'll have plenty to discuss tomorrow because it's game day for the can.
Yeah, but I like the game stuff. I got to watch a game. I can't just come to work and talk to you guys.
It will be fascinating to get the first one under the belt. I think we'll learn a lot.
So what'd you make all I had to say there? You put him up to that?
Absolutely. I said, like,
find a way to say that Tavares sucks. Tell us everybody that he sucks.
not. No, he said it. I listen. He's the data guy.
Yeah.
I just back up our conversation. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, he listens to the show.
Oh, yeah.
He follows up.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do the Leafs need here? Am I an idiot here that believes? And the other thing
Sean Monahan
he's a good player.
Good player.
He
makes
has,
a lot of money until 29. 28, 29.
He's a playmaker too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, the other thing too is the data part of it. Like, there's so much. I'm not even a data guy. I'm not an analytics guy, but like, I want to see way more analytics. I want to know if a guy's a point a game guy, where are the majority of the points coming from?
Yes.
Are they coming from home games, away games?
Yeah.
Are they coming off playing a first line, a second line, a third line, a first pair, a second pair, a third pair?
Yes.
Are they coming off of coming off of offensive zone faceoffs? Are you getting any points when you take a defensive zone faceoff and have to go down the ice 200 feet?
Yeah.
How many points are you getting off of that?
And I absolutely. So that's all this stuff is. When people like.
Well, get your people going
this
here.
This is what I mean. Analytics is context. I want to know, what does that mean? Give me layers of explanation. I'm the same way. Who are they playing against? What situations are they out there? Who are they on the ice with? These are crucial questions when you're determining who's what.
And plus minus, like, it matters. It doesn't matter until it matters.
Well, but also, so you can make numbers say basically anything you want them to. You can find some data you like about a guy. It's doable. You still have, the great part about it is I'm the numbers guy and I'm saying it's not everything. Because for a guy like Tavares, context is important, where it's like, well, it's no good for us to measure him in primary assists on the team. That's in that particular instance, that's not what he's there to do.
But
for Matthews, it's not useful to use this year's stats alone for what we think he is. We don't think he's a +9 scoring chance guy over the season because we've seen he's not. He's had a slow year. He's been hurt. He's whatever. So you have to layer in those factors too.
All of it.
Yes.
All of it.
It's all relevant.
Right? And John's gotten a lot of power play points in his Toronto Maple Leaf career.
And to someone I talked to, Dubas, he said, you're allowed to score on the power play too. It's hard. You need guys who do it. It's valuable.
Till it doesn't show up, though, in games that matter.
Sure. I couldn't agree more. Games that matter, that's a relevant piece to analysis.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see more. More.
You and me, let's do some dives. That's
more in-depth data.
People are going to hate our show when it's a 2-person analytics show.
Well, yeah.
No, but I do. I want to know where those points come from. Like, certain guys can score, but they're not necessarily seeing top checking units, which is fine. I guess scoring's scoring. Doesn't matter if the coach wants to put their top line against you or the bottom third, but
that to me has been a lot of.
But it tells a story.
The stars of the Leafs who've been suppressed in the postseason, where they haven't had a layer behind them, and they're just. The whole game plan is against the two of them, essentially. So they do need to build layers behind them. So it can't just be.
Yeah, you're starting to create a little monster on this side of the desk.
Right.
Here,
well, and you're making
really
me partially a Neanderthal too.
happy.
So we're
not overly happy with myself right now.
Why not?
Because I want to see more data.
Oh, yeah, whatever. That's good. It's good. You're growing.
we're all growing.
A little bit, maybe? Anyways, it's game time.
Always growth.
Presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Found myself last night. No hockey. Really pointless life without hockey. I was like, I'm going to go home and watch the hockey game. Whatever game's on, that's my whole night.
Yeah.
Every single night I get home, I have dinner with my wife, and I'm like, now it's time to do the part where I watch the hockey game that's on TV.
Right.
So I watched 2 full basketball games last night. I watched Warriors Bucks and I watched Heat Celtics in their entirety.
Mix in a book.
Or you can just shut it off completely and
do what?
Talk about your day with your wife.
Right? In my journal. Anyways, in that tonight, I will be watching the Toronto Raptors because they are playing the Philadelphia 76ers, and they are big underdogs in Philly. The home, I'm sure that arena tonight will just be buzzing. Tons of Eagles gear in there. They're just coming off a championship. They just burnt down their city a little bit. They're smashing windows and shooting fireworks at each other. Seems like a lot of fun. The Toronto Raptors are big underdogs in that game. They are plus 325 on the money line. Plus 9.5 point dogs to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Now, the Raptors just signed someone, did they not, Sam?
How much a year?
A lot.
40
million.
40 Matthews, Marner, Nylander combined.
I'm just a hockey puck, so I got.
And Connor McDavid's the best hockey player in the world, and he feels horrible for asking anything above like 17.
Yeah.
I've been told to stick to hockey a lot today.
He got lit up on Twitter today because he basically said the Raptors are locking in a 42-win core.
Yeah, they're paying like close to $160 million for 5 like really mediocre players next year, and everybody on Raptors they just think they're the best.
Could we trade?
Everyone thinks they're the best.
Could we trade Sammy to the Raptors show for futures?
Ooh.
Were you gonna get Bonner? Do you think Bonner does Leaf stakes?
We can see if we can.
Worth a try. Can't be worse. Yeah. Anyways, that was game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for the odds.
A coming up and coming star.
Oh yeah. He probably thinks Braden Shen's better than Tavares. That was game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Yeah, I don't know if you know that too, Kip. We're getting a hard time about Tavares slander. I know you don't care, and I know.
I mean, he's been doing it literally since our show started.
What is the slander? What is the slander?
That he's not as good as Braden Shen.
Yeah.
Not better, not worse, just different. How's that?
Well, yeah, people are offended at the
what
not
is better?
part of
Like
that
who are these? Who's judging better or worse?
The fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs who listen to our show.
Based on what? A point a game.
Quality of play.
A point a game.
He's got 20 goals in 48 games, Kip. He's not many guys do that.
It just doesn't matter. Half the league we know half the league should be in a B division. Okay? Stop thinking about a point a game over 82 games. 82 games, there's 82 exhibition games. It's not like the playoffs. It's a different league. It's a different look, and it's a different commitment.
We should tell the Leafs GM about Marner that points don't matter this year.
That would be
it won't matter. 95, 100, 102.
What?
We know.
No
We
way.
know what's going to happen. You're out in the first round, and he's going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Hey, man, just telling you.
Right?
Telling you what the people are talking about on the streets.
Yeah, just taking a beating, in fact.
I don't care.
That's one of those ones where I saw it and I was like, I'm muting this one early.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
All right,
Hey,
we should get a break in.
and you two are the same guys for 2 years saying, bust up the core.
Oh, yeah.
Someone's got to go.
I'd still do it now.
And now you're
Yeah,
in
that's not
love
me.
with them.
That's not me.
Right?
I'm not in love with
He's a
them.
bust up the
Oh,
core
my
guy.
God. The goalies are going to take you to the promised land.
The goalies are literally the only hope. It's the exact same team, Kyper. They just play worse and have a worse point percentage.
So instead of just riding just the goalies,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you just cover yourself and make whatever adjustments you need past the goalies?
Hey, listen, I watched some of the Missing Curfew podcast today, and Scott Upshaw wants to trade Marner for Shen.
Tough
1-for-1.
Tough decisions. Those
That
are
would be a tough one to make.
gutsy decisions. Or do what they've done the last 3 years, 4 years, play safe.
I mean,
Do you think they've been playing safe?
With the
Yeah.
lineup?
They got nothing in the cupboards because they haven't been playing safe.
Playing safe is bringing your core four forwards back.
next year.
That's safe.
Like doing it this year or doing it next year?
They should have done it last year.
Like broken it up?
Yeah.
Totally agree. Totally agree. But they didn't.
So
Good chat.
take heat for that.
You guys want to go to break?
We should.
Go
Yeah,
to
we
break.
should.
All right, more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back into the Real Kyper and Bourne show. As a reminder, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. Pedersen was asked at Four Nations about his season.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people in the media fishing for another comment about him and Miller, I'm sure.
It's been a big story, and I think the question was, has this been a frustrating season?
So there's a lot of, I think his agent went on with our boy Dollywall and was talking about how he had a tough summer with some knee injuries and he wasn't able to train the correct way.
Yeah.
And he was addressing that today. And, it's hard to know the context of what was said here, but in this article, he said, what has been the most frustrating part of the season? And he said, with the media, of course, he quipped. So could be a joke, but it's a pointed joke talking about
Yeah.
the media and how it's our fault.
If he could show a sense of humor in the last, how many years? Like, he's a pretty serious guy.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that
Pretty stoic.
that says I'm joking around or
I just,
tongue in cheek in this thing.
he was a part of a drastic shakeup of a team that was wonderful last year. A guy got traded. He's got 34 points in 49 games. You'd think the frustrations would stem beyond the media.
Not just a guy.
It's just been a frustrating year.
a really good guy.
Yeah.
Got traded. I mean, I'm not in terms of guy, but good player, I should say. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's maybe the best guy, but unbelievable player. I think it's rich to kind of blame the media when your not owner, but your president came out and was like, yeah, they hate each other.
Yeah.
They hate it. They can't look at each other. They can't stand it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
Tough quote for me.
Yeah, a little more humility, I guess.
Just a touch.
Yeah.
You mentioned the thing with Allmark to Valley, and we didn't reset it after we were done there, but you're so right about that. And I hate to say that because you've been mad at each other today, but I can't believe you just ran off to that tournament. After just getting 2 starts in there, back to back, after being out long term, and just goes.
I wonder, though. Because he is not going to start. And so I wonder if he knew, hey, I'll come. I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of the Olympics. I just don't put me in the net as the number 1 guy, but if you need me, I'll see what I can do, sort of thing.
He went from December 22nd to February 4th was his first start.
But
He's
back.
I found his quote here.
Healthy or you're not. He's healthy.
I found his quote. It didn't feel like we had to rush through the process to get me to be a part of this team.
Yeah, it didn't feel like he had to be rushed.
I'm like, how could it not have been to get those last 2 games in and then go off when you've been off all that time? Was the rehab all about getting back in as quickly as you could for the Ottawa Senators, or getting back as quickly as you can to be ready for the Four Nations?
I don't know, but it's a good point. If it doesn't go well, he's in big trouble in Ottawa.
I've been accused of being very cynical, but if I'm a cynical fan of a sports team, which I am, that's my first thought. Like, you rushed us back to be ready to go play for Sweden. That'd be my first thought. But
there was a thing
cynical.
from, like, I think it was the Cubs who won the World Series. Somewhere in the book, it says, like, it just has to work. Like, do whatever you want as long as it works.
Yeah.
And so if he's fine, everyone's going to be fine.
Okay.
As long as it works.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't,
Whoo, buddy.
So do you want to hear? We have a few quotes from Cooper today. The first one was him getting asked about his starting goalie. He went into some classic John Cooper stuff on it. So let's play the clip number 1, John Cooper.
Can you confirm a starting goaltender for us today?
Jordan Binnington.
So when you have those conversations, how does that go with Jordan when you let him know that he's got the net? And what's his reaction?
Well, he didn't say. Are you sure? No, that was not what he was. Naturally, he was really excited. He's a confident kid, and he wants to be in that spot. And I think, this wasn't sitting here saying this decision was made months ago. I mean, there's a lot gone into this decision, but this kid's played in some huge moments and some big games, and he's a competitor, and not that the other guys aren't. I mean, these other guys are ready to go if anything happens, but Jordan's been our guy, and that kid's got fire in the belly. He's a competitor, and and we're really confident in him.
It is such an advantage in the sports being psycho confident. Like, I feel like if you ask Binnington who's the best goalie in the world, all things equal, I still think Binnington's like 2 thumbs, pal.
And Bill Simmons calls it the irrational confidence, guys.
Yeah. Oh,
that's what it is.
What a potent skill that is.
Yeah.
and he's got a little Billy Smith in him too.
Like he's psycho.
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely nuts. Didn't he get suspended a couple years ago?
I don't know, but
He's not scared to go punch somebody in the head or
he's definitely
swing a stick.
leads the NHL in history probably in making the other goalie think, should I fight this guy? Because there's got to be at least a dozen guys who've gone, maybe.
What Valley was saying in his interview with you guys, the stats were one thing, but him talking about them playing in big games and enjoy playing in big games, that to me
Not
is
afraid of the moment.
such a huge advantage, where he brought up some of those Hellebuyck stats in the biggest games, and it's like, does he love the biggest games? It feels like maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I really did. That made me feel from a 10% feeling good. That brought me up to a 20% feeling good about the goaltending.
Binnington's 31 too. He's not washed up. Just because he won when he was younger doesn't mean it's like over for this guy. It's a good age for a goalie.
You can hear Hellebuyck's comments after maybe losing a series, and you're like, did you realize how big those games were? Maybe he just doesn't realize it because it's in his mind. He's like, I played pretty good.
Yeah.
I wasn't that bad.
Gonna stop you there. You were.
Let's do this. I want to ask you guys a question out of this clip. Let's play Cooper 2 on making adjustments, please, Derek.
Coaching, or a big part of coaching, is preparation and planning, and we've done that. Now the other part is, expect the unexpected, and so, you're putting this puzzle together. It doesn't mean all the pieces are going to fit, and that's, our job is to find what pieces are going to fit, and you have to find it in short order. We don't have an exhibition games. We don't have the first 10 games of the regular season. This is it. And the other big thing is not to force things. So if it's, don't be afraid to make a change. And we've talked to players about this. And sometimes you have to go on instincts, and every decision we make, it's not personal. It's decisions made about having a chance to win. And I think the guys really understood that of, hey, we're doing our best just as you guys are. Hopefully the chemistry is there with everybody, but if it's not, we're gonna make moves. And the guys are all well aware of that.
I wonder how quickly. Like, is it 20 minutes, 40 minutes? How
Great
quickly?
question. Great question.
And if I
It's
was the
not
head
personal.
coach and I thought about the game's in a bit of a lull, Brad Marchand can move up. Braden Point can move up. Guys can drop. Like, that's That's the margin
Yeah.
that you have.
The one thing is different for me is like I am a patient guy during the regular season. I'm like, they need some games together. Let's let them find some chemistry. Let's see. Let's wait. Let's whatever. I think you overreact to small samples in a tournament like this. You don't have the time to let it work out. If it looks like it's not working, you got to change it.
You're 60 minutes away from hearing John Cooper doing interviews for Saturday night, starting them with listen.
Listen.
Okay.
There's a reason.
I hope for Canadian fans it'll get a listen as early as Thursday and Friday.
So the question I wanted to ask you guys is who sort of in the bottom half of this lineup, if you're looking at it in front of you, that's pointing, I can see it on your computer there, do you think is the biggest riser? For me, like, you know, I'm not trying to slander Mitch Marner here, but if there was an adjustment to be made, I know points a center, there's tons of centers in this team, but if there's a guy that I could see ending up on the top line, it's Brayden Point, where I think him being on the third line even is underrated to what he brings to a hockey team.
I could see Hagel moving up.
Yeah.
Hagel's a great one.
And
That
he knows Hagel.
Mm-hmm.
And just that, to me, you asking me about a bottom six guy moving up?
Yeah.
Hagel would have the best chance for me.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny because you look at guys like Jarvis and
he's having a
Konechny
fantastic year, Hagel. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Hagel's having a monster year. Like, those guys can all do it, right? You wouldn't feel terrible about any of them being involved. But, yeah, in terms of guys producing points, it is funny. There is kind of a clear top six, bottom six with Point in the bottom. But Reinhart, McDavid, Marner, Crosby, McKinnon, Stone, pretty good.
And apparently, so I think we have time for it. Play the last clip there, Derek. Clip 3 from him on McKinnon and Sid playing together.
Well, first of all, you're talking about chemistry. And anywhere I've been in the last 48 hours, those two guys have been together. They're constantly talking hockey with each other, and they're constantly ribbing each other. Like, it's actually quite a treat to listen to these two guys go at it. It's really funny. But it's almost like there's a little brother and a big brother. And that's not talking about the game of hockey. That's just talking about the way they interact. And I'm a big believer in chemistry, and I'm a big believer in the way guys think and how they play. And for me, it's just natural to put those guys together. Is it going to work? We don't know. But do you want to see two guys that really want it to work? It's those two guys. And so, the big thing is they can both take draws on each side. It's a luxury to have centers on multiple centers, and guys can do that on lines. So, depending on what dot it's in. But it's, those guys train together in the summer. They do so many things. They know each other. And so, hopefully for us it works out.
How does Sid not want to play in Colorado?
Yeah. It's funny, like, to refer to McKinnon as like the little brother, 29 years old, Stanley Cup champion, Hart Trophy
Freak
winner.
of nature athlete.
And he still looks at Sid and he's like, yeah.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the chemistry of the power play, too.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was actually thinking about this. If you were to put together some sort of structure for them, you don't want to go into it freewheeling. You'd have to have some guidelines. Like we're going to try to work it from the top, or there would have to be some instruction. But in the end, you're just counting on the guys being talented, right? Like, take what's given to you. Move it around, take what's there.
Series of 2-on-1s somewhere on the ice, right?
Get it to Kale and let Kale do his thing.
They can figure it out.
Sid, McKinnon, Reinhart, McCarr, and McDavid will figure it out, in my opinion.
Yeah, you'd hope.
That is one spectacular power play.
Jarvis is saying it's the 5 best guys in the world that you would want on a power play.
All right. I warned you all. Fastest hour in hockey right there. Our thanks to Steve Valiquette, analyst for the New York Rangers. Clear Sight Analytics as well. Sammy, what are we watching tonight? Are we just going to...
Raps. Got to watch the Raps tonight.
No, quiet dinner. How was your day? Oh, how was your day? How was your day? Wasn't that a Seinfeld episode?
No idea.
Have a great night, everybody.